while the regulatory oversight has now been handed over to us, we still have to undergo that process of reviewing the tariff application of the various players that are going to come into our state to play. Now, what we are inheriting is a tariff design that speaks to so much disparity between the Band A customers and the various other bands. You know, I believe we've had this conversation basically before, but even in looking at the tariff band A arrangement, it is not uniform across the entire discos at the federal level. You know, some are paying 225. We in Enugu here are paying 225. Some are paying 209 for being a Band A customer. Some are paying 206, as the case may be. You know, we do not know what the tariff will be. What we're going to give to the various operators is the actual cost of recovering their investment and putting a reasonable profit in there as well for them to also take advantage of. But we're not saying that it's rocket science that it will happen from day one. No. We are going to work with the distribution company that is that's going to operate in our space immediately and determine what the actual cost of tariff may be. Now, while there is the banding arrangement to offtake power from the grid, let us not forget that citizens of Enugu State that do not even have that supply of 20 hours and above are paying over 350 to 500 naira per kilowatt hour now because they're using their generators or diesel-fired plants.
Yeah.
So when I say 350, that was when fuel was 750 to 800 per liter. Right
Correct.
now, I don't know how much you guys are buying fuel in Enugu. Well, I just left Abuja, so I say between the 1,050 to 1,070. But here in Enugu, a liter of petrol is between 1,250 to 1,300. They are paying so much to run between I better pass my neighbor to a diesel-fired plant. And what we're saying, that is the cost that in developing our policy, when we developed the policy last year, that the 500 megawatts of generation was based on consumers or customers in Enugu State, citizens, self-generation, over 500 megawatts. So if they can afford to power their gens or their, for self-generation for a period of time and are willing to pay that cost, no matter the tariff we put in place, I can comfortably say that it will be less than what it would have cost them to use their generators. So we're saying, let us even move away from being a generator republic as a starting point. And then let competition drive down the cost of delivering that service to the point where it probably is less than what they're paying as Band A customers at the national level. And probably further down to the point where citizens will be very happy to pay that energy, you know, at the actual cost of delivering that service.
See, Chijioke, no doubt. I mean, everything you're saying is spot on. And the fact that electricity now from the grid, it's more competitive because of the alternative generation that people have access to. No doubt, no question about that. But tomorrow, when you take over, what I'm hearing you say is that you will have to maintain the status quo for a period. Is that the case? Because if you transition tomorrow, there's still the banding. Your tariff methodology does not speak to the categorization of customers. How is that going to be? Are we going back to the old days of R1, R2, R3? Are you maintaining the banding that we've been on for the past couple of years? Is there a new arrangement for that? Your tariff methodology is silent on that. Also the policy. So tomorrow, as Enugu transitions, what will the consumers or electricity customers in Enugu State be paying? Will they remain on the structure of the national grid, or the NESI, as it were, at the center, or there is a change. So that's really what I'm looking at. I mean, eventually, I know that customers will prefer to have grid supply because it's much cheaper compared to self-generation using fossil fuel, which is also, detrimental to our environment. But today, as they transition, there's a tariff. What is going to happen? And for your Enugu citizens listening to you, what's going to happen?
So let me say this. Yes, while we would want to see that immediate change in their tariff, it's not going to happen by the flip of a switch. No.
Okay.
I mean, we're talking about less than 24 hours before Enugu takes full control, and while I like to say that the change will be immediate, it cannot be immediate. I think it's necessary we actually put that out there for customers to know that, yes, a change is going to come. A change is actually now in the offing, but that it cannot be effected immediately. No, it won't be immediate, So we are looking at a transition now within the SubCo, that's the main power electricity distribution company, to evolve from moving away from what it currently has, to what it is proposing that guarantees its return on its investment. We're not going to be the one that will impose banding arrangements on the offtake, on the service provider, that's the distribution company. No, we're not also going to impose, going back to the old regime of having customers categorization based on residential, commercial, or industrial. No, as much as I'd like to see that happen, we would like the how do I put it now, service provider, which is the main power disco, to present to us what it wants as its tariff structure based on its tariff application that guarantees a return on all its investments, for its customers. And based on that, we'll review, evaluate it, ensure that it speaks to the actual price, that doesn't just pay the bilateral agreements that is going to sign with its generation service provider, what is GenCo, but as it continues to offtake energy from the grid, pay for those services that are associated with grid-connected energy until we even have our embedded generation or distributed generation take off and continue to expand on its supply to customers to develop its market. And like I said, yes, it's about to unbundle at that level. Now, while I'm probably going to, I would want us to leave it as it is because it's a transition and not immediate. We are definitely moving away from the national arrangement that is that gives birth to our current tariff arrangements.
All right. So so what you're essentially saying is that the transition will happen with the current structure for a period of time before you transition to what you're speaking to, whereby the SubCo will present to the regulator.
Can I say that it starts tomorrow? Instead of saying for a period of time, let's not put time to it because it starts tomorrow.
No, I know it starts tomorrow. So what I'm saying to you is that what your feedback from what we are saying is that from tomorrow, the 5 bands still remain because it's a going concern. Lights are not going to be shut down in Enugu, so customers are still going to be getting their electricity. The people will bend.
Like you rightly said, it's a going concern. Yes,
exactly.
We don't expect us to be shut off from the grid. So we expect that.
So what I'm saying is that from tomorrow, the status quo, even if Enugu Regulatory Commission is taking over 100%, the tariff structure as it is today remains until when until that such a time when you say that it will be changed in line with what you have. Fantastic. Okay, so that, at least now we understand that, because I was curious to know what will happen tomorrow, because no subsidies in Enugu State. You have a rate of return regulation. How will that happen from tomorrow? So I think it's a good thing so that there's no break in transmission, and over time,
you don't expect that there'll be a break in transmission.